Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction and entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And we return to you this week to talk about rummaging around in trash cans. We're turning this into Raccoon Weekly.
Oh, okay.
Bear Weekly?
Oscar
the Grouch Weekly? Yeah, a lot of things. But anyways, that's right. Today we're talking about where to get cheap stuff for your haunt, going over some of our old suggestions, but also focusing in on where you might be able to acquire some unique opportunities, we'll say. If that is not your speed for whatever reason, we understand. Luckily, there's 397 other episodes. Check them out, hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, and youtube.com/hauntweekly. That's our YouTube channel. Every episode is available there for listening and easy searching, I might add. And if you prefer, you can find us wherever you get your podcast from, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, etc., etc., etc. All right. Well, first things first, every week we ask a question of the week. And last week's question was a simple one. Mm-hmm. Do you have any video games haunters should play? We got some great answers.
Mm-hmm. Jacob DeLay said Bloodborne because of the ways from software creates a Lovecraftian atmosphere. Also Visage because it gives him anxiety.
You know, I've not played any of the From Software games. No Dark Souls, no Bloodborne. Mm-mm. Haven't even tried Elden Ring yet. And I really can't say why. Mm-hmm. I guess it's just because I usually play games to relax, and those games are notoriously not relaxing.
Yeah, well, and they're also, it seems like several of them are in a genre of ones that we find to play together co-op. It seems like a similar genre to that, so...
All right. Samuel J. Halber said, The Outlast and Dead by Daylight. And Dead by Daylight got support also from Maximus Christian Bryant. Mm-hmm. I looked into it. I'd heard of it, but I never really looked too deeply into it. And the reason we never looked too deeply into it is because it's a co-op game, but it's one with 5 players. You have one player who's the killer, mm-hmm. and 4 players working as victims/survivors.
Yeah.
And what's cool about it, and what I didn't realize, the hook, is that they have a ton of characters from a lot of different genres, like Freddy Krueger is in there legitimately. Michael Myers is in there as a killer. You can also get Pinhead, Cannibal from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Leatherface, rather.
So we just make all of them the friends, and then the one, like, sparkly pony girl or whatever.
Yeah, the little Elmira-looking girl.
Yeah.
Come on and be the killer. That'd be great. But no, those are the killer side. And on the other side, you have, like, Ash from The Evil Dead, Bruce Campbell. You also have Nicolas Cage is apparently coming to that game. And everyone's supposedly super excited. But anyways.
All right. Sam Farrell said Condemned Criminal Origins, a 101 class on creating a tense atmosphere.
And go ahead. That is a game we have played all the way through.
Yeah.
And we both played it separately but parallel and loved it.
Yes.
It's the only game I can think of where first-person melee combat worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was a gorilla fighting a fly in a phone booth when I was swinging the club around trying to hit things. What was that game? Dead Island made me feel that way.
Okay.
Where just all you're doing is swinging wildly, praying something connects.
Yeah.
No, you didn't get that feel. But also, yeah, it's a very, very tense game. They used a lot. It was very Hitchcockian. They used a lot of nothing. Mm-hmm. To make it feel very tense. John Miller and Chaz Smith both had love for the Resident Evil series, in particular 4 and 7. Mm-hmm. And having recently played some of Resident Evil 4 VR, yeah, really, really cool.
Okay. And Sabra Pretty said Phasmophobia.
Which we've actually played. It's a co-op game. We've played it. We tried it once or twice. I don't think we got too into it. It was the ghost hunting in the house game. Where you go into the
Was it the one with the little dolls that came to life? Yeah.
Yeah, we played it.
We also didn't understand the rules of the game.
Yeah.
So that's one we may have to give another. But
Yeah.
the sets were good.
Oh yeah, the aesthetic was great.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm sure if we understood what the fuck we were doing better, it would have been much more enjoyable. But we just didn't cross that hurdle in our first attempt at playing it.
Yeah.
All right. So before we continue, I do want to offer a quick update on last week's episode, where we talked extensively about the game Escape Room Simulator, or Escape Simulator. We had, at that point, played the entirety of the tutorial and the entirety of the Egyptian room. But since then, we have finished the second of the big rooms.
Right.
The space station, or the space one.
Yeah.
That one was not nearly as good.
No. It was much more difficult and just like obtuse puzzles.
Well, and I think because it's broken up into 5 15-minute games basically, and what we've learned is that I think this is a problem with any short escape room, a 5 to 15-minute escape room, is that you only have 3 or 4 puzzles you can really have in it.
Yeah,
you're limiting the number of puzzles. So if one of those puzzles goes off the rails,
yes,
then the whole fucking thing is lost. And one of the disadvantages of Escape Simulators, though, it does have a mouth of God moment, voice of God moment. It's not nearly as effective as a human voice of God.
It's not.
It reminds me of some escape rooms we went to that didn't have a human voice of God, and really pissed us off by giving us clues for shit we had done like minutes ago.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's not fun. But anyways, this week's question of the week is, what was your best dumpster dive, garage sale, or other find? Let us know. HauntWeekly.com, HauntWeekly on Twitter, HauntWeekly on Facebook, and YouTube.com/HauntWeekly. All right. It is an even numbered episode. I checked. Math still checks out. Also, real fast, been looking at all the photos for everyone that was at the Texas Haunters Convention.
Yes.
Looks like it was a really good year for that show.
Yeah.
I hope everyone had fun. A lot of our friends were there, it seems like. And honestly, it got us hoping that we'll be able to go next year. Yeah.
There are rumors that it might be moving to a different space. If so, we'll be looking into that.
Yeah, we enjoyed our visit there when it was I forgot what it was called previously, but anyways, Halloween and Haunt Fest was the previous name. But the building hosts a rodeo, which apparently comes with an allergen.
Yeah.
A fairly severe one. So we just can't risk being in that particular building. But the organizers were great. The show was great. Everything was great. Just near-death experience with allergies. That's all.
Yeah.
But anyways, there are other conventions going on. And coming up July 21st through the 23rd. That is this weekend, y'all, in case you're not paying attention. Horrorween Con, Idaho, in Garden City, Idaho, at the North Expo Hall at Expo, Idaho. I've said Idaho more times than I think I have my entire life. Featuring home haunting classes, pro haunting classes, and costume and makeup classes. IdahoHorror.com for more information.
Then July 28th through the 30th, it's Midsummer Scream in Long Beach, California, at the Long Beach Convention Center. Over 300 vendors, Hall of Shadows, Museum of Halloween, midsummerscream.org for more info.
And after that, September 16th and 17th in Santa Ana, California, it's Creep It Real OC at the Heritage Museum of OC. Over 100 vendors, lots of neat stuff to buy and to see.
Yes, and if we've missed any...
Yes,
because Jonathan looked.
Yeah, I did.
Actually, you updated it this week.
Yep.
And we couldn't find any others out there. So if we're missing something, send it to Haunt Weekly.
Yeah, all the places I've said previously.
Yeah.
We're not going to do it again. But yeah, just let us know, because I have a feeling we're missing something here, and because I know how the event didn't happen this year. We heard that from Paul, so that wasn't on the list. And we're a little early to be talking about all the stuff that happens after season or during season, like Lost Souls and Legendary Haunt Tour.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we'll be hopefully someone else will be able to provide some advice on that. So here's the thing: you want some cheap stuff for your haunt. Hey, we get it. We're broke, and even when we're not broke, we're still cheap motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the haunt, because nobody wants to pay full price for decorations or supplies for your haunt. You're just going to get it, you're going to distress it, you're going to put it in a dark room, and it's not going to be seen by that many people, and blah, blah, blah. Why pay full price for it? Totally get it. So anyways, that raises the question, where do you get some cheap/free stuff? That's what we're answering today, and having some fun with it, hopefully. But before we get to the fun, we need to have a serious talk on a couple of things. The first is, later in this episode, we're going to get to dumpster diving and pulling things out of trash. So I wanted to put this up front. I wanted to talk about the legalities of dumpster diving. And honestly, because I work in legal communication, basically. I communicate stuff about the law all the time.
Right.
I'm so used to every time I have to do this, having to couch something very carefully.
Yeah.
And like put nuance and subtext on it.
Yeah.
Not here.
Yeah.
It turns out dumpster diving, or at least going through someone's public trash, is fully legal anywhere and everywhere, all 50 states. And the reason for that is simple. Anyone who puts something in a public place that they indicate is meant to be trashed or junk, they have given up their ownership of it, you are allowed to take it. Totally free. However, there are two caveats. So there is a little couching, but not as much as I was afraid there was going to be.
Yeah, no kidding.
That really, when coming from my line of work, this is like the easiest explanation I've done in a long time.
Yeah. So the first is to make sure you aren't trespassing.
Yeah. Don't go on private property, especially don't bypass any locks or security or anything to get at dumpsters.
Right.
Be mindful when you're on someone else's property. Something moved to the curb or the edge of the road is one thing. Something in a locked dumpster behind a building is very different.
It is.
The second is check your local ordinances. I could not find a single local ordinance that impacted this, but every article I read about this, doing research, made it clear to check local ordinances and make sure you're not violating something else. I will say some towns have curfews and other restrictions. I mean, you can't be out at night when you most likely be doing this dumpster diving. So yeah, check your local ordinances. Make sure that you're not accidentally running afoul of something else. Because you could be, especially noise ordinance, it actually might be another problem. Because collecting stuff from dumpster diving can be noisy business.
It can't.
So yeah, might be something else to talk about. Also, copyright talk time. I know. Of course, I gotta worm this in somewhere. It's gotta make that day job pay off somehow. But basically, just remember, just because you buy or otherwise legally obtain a copyright protected work does not mean you have the right to make copies, publicly display or perform the work, or even use it in your haunt. Understand, like, for example, just because you got a stack of CDs in the trash, or you bought a stack of CDs at Goodwill or whatever, does not mean you can use those as background music for your professional haunt.
Got it.
Things like that is what I'm saying. So keep in mind that copyright doesn't change here just because you're getting the stuff through alternate means. Go back to our episode on copyright and trademark for hunters for more details. But yeah, things get complicated here. It definitely would take... We have a whole other episode on it. Just go back to that. All right. Now, before we jump into all the various ways, some general guidelines for anything.
Yeah.
Because we might have made some mistakes in this area.
Maybe.
A few hard lessons have been learned.
Yeah, mainly by me. Like, you were along for the ride, but...
Yes, but I said lessons were learned, and I don't think they were learned.
They were.
Okay, first off is to know what you need.
Yeah.
Make a list of what you need and want. It's okay to be inspired by something if you know a specific place for it, but have a list of what you need.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things that I have tried to curb over the years, is realizing that the space I have for storage is not that big.
Yeah.
And so unless I have a specific idea for something, I'm not going to bring it home.
Yeah. And the idea here is just to prevent you from taking someone else's trash, bringing it home, and making it your trash.
Yep.
That achieves nothing. That is not upcycling. That is not more efficient. That is a waste of your time. It's a waste of all the carbon dioxide and all that stuff. So don't do that. Have a list of what you need and grab what you need. Second, and this is a big one, Take measurements in advance of your area and your space.
Yeah.
Know what you're working with very specifically.
Including your doorways. Because once upon a time, I was doing a lot of photography. And
Film photography, to be clear.
Yeah, film. So it has to be developed. And somebody in New Orleans, this was just after we moved here, was giving away a darkroom door.
Neat.
Awesome.
I'm going to have a darkroom door as my bathroom door.
Exactly. It would have been so cool, but it wouldn't fit inside the fucking house.
Because we lived in an old house with very, very narrow... It's interesting how construction standards have changed over time, because this house, according to Zillow or whatever, was built in 1899. It was built literally in the late 19th century.
Yeah.
The doors are smaller than doors in like houses today.
Yeah.
But we didn't think of that.
No.
And there was literally no way to get a darkroom door inside the house.
No, so it became trash for somebody else to take away.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And that really, really sucks.
It does.
But yeah, measure everything. Know your space. Know your rules. And likewise, when you're going hunting for things, or even just driving around, because you might run into stuff casually sometimes, have a tape measure with you.
Yes. And if you're a pro at this, you'll have a little one on your keychain at all times.
You know, the little one on the keychain. The bigger one will be in the glove box, probably.
Yeah.
And then you might have a spare kicking around the trunk somewhere, too. Basically, tape measures are like crack. Just sprinkle it around everywhere. And make sure you always have at least 3 within arm's reach. And likewise, know the limitations of your vehicle.
Yes.
Because here's the thing. The limitations of the vehicle do not always match the vehicle.
Right.
As weird as that sounds. Like, we had a full-size sedan before right now we're driving a Ford Fiesta, which is a subcompact.
Right.
And yeah, it's a small car. It's a small, zippy little agile thing. It's fun. But we have way more usable cargo space in the Fiesta thanks to a hatchback than we ever did in the sedan.
Yeah, we did. We do. Because it's just such it's a much bigger space, especially for boxy items.
Yeah.
Like, you actually stopped by a garage sale this weekend. We were looking for something specific. You're like, I got a few minutes. You walked over and found a chair with a footstool.
An ottoman, yeah. A little rocking ottoman type thing.
Yeah.
A footstool, yeah.
And a little table for Ellie's store.
Yep. And we were able to get them all in a Ford Fiesta.
Yes. We rocked up, and she said, are you going to be able to fit all of that in there? I'm like, yep.
And we did. Every scrap of it fit with room to spare, I might add.
Yeah.
So, know the limitations of your vehicle. Know what you can and cannot carry. That way, you're not going to attempt to move something you really shouldn't be moving. And one thing you might want to look into if you're doing this on the regular and moving bigger items is either A, getting a truck, obviously.
Yeah.
Or B, failing that, getting a small trailer.
Yeah, because at least once per season, we have to rent a truck from Home Depot to take home wood.
And here's the thing. All vehicles have a towing capacity, pretty much.
Yeah.
So even if you don't have a car that's meant for towing things, you can tow small, lighter loads that are too big to fit in the trunk still.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fairly easy to get a trailer hitch installed if you need one. So honestly, it's weird to do that with a car, but I've seen plenty of people do it. And yeah, a trailer, which you can get a trailer. I found several on Facebook Marketplace for around $200, $300.
Yeah.
I would have looked at buying one, but I had no idea where it was going to live.
No.
And I figured he'd murdered me. But anyway, seriously, know the limitations of your vehicle going into it. All right. So the order of operations, roughly, is going to be most expensive, but still cheaper than traditional buying, all the way down to free.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with estate sales, which are routinely ignored or forgotten on these type of things.
Well, because you say estate sale, and automatically, to me, it's like, okay, this is stuff that people cared about and loved, and they're going to want more money for it than I'm probably willing to pay. That's why I overlook them. But you found other information.
Yeah.
Contradicts that.
Well, first things first is search for them online at estatesales.net. There's actually It lists, and I was able to find dozens in this area alone, pretty much. I mean, literally, I could take you to several in Algiers just this week. But yeah, the thing about estate sales is that you can find some great things. And typically, with most estate sales, since most estate sales are done with the help of some kind of broker, they offer great previews online.
Yeah.
They offer you the kind of previews online you wish Craigslist ads and Facebook Marketplace ads would do. They are actually really, really good previews online. And as you said, these are things that people actually kept and used and not threw away. So everything is going to be intact. Everything is going to be, in working condition, but it will be used, scuffed. It's going to have damage, but it's going to be usable. And estate sales, from what I've seen, are a great way to find art, furniture, medical equipment's a real standout.
Yeah.
The last thing we bought for the haunted estate sale was a wheelchair. Medical equipment's a good, and also just random knickknacks and odds and ends. Smaller decorations.
Yeah, all of the kitsch stuff that you want to put around so that your haunt feels full.
More complete, more detailed.
Yeah. And
the disadvantages are, you had a point, the prices are less good.
Yeah. Cheaper
than buying new? Absolutely. But the amount is cheaper varies fairly wildly. Also, the dates and times are incredibly inconvenient.
Yeah, usually, much like with garage sales, these are early morning things.
Actually, no, not according to estatesales.net.
Really?
They were advertising like 10 to 3 on a Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, middle of the week.
Middle of the day, middle of the week. They were all, like, there was one happening in Algiers up the road Thursday from, I think they said 11 to 2.
I'm off Thursday.
Yeah, I know
other than the appointment. So I may be able to hit that up.
But that's the thing. They have all these.
Yeah.
But the times are rarely convenient, especially if you work a 9 to 5, standard hour job.
Yeah.
They're not going to be convenient. And like you said, when they do happen on weekends, they usually happen stupid early in the morning. Which that sucks, because that's the reason I like weekends.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to do early in the morning.
Exactly.
But I want to. It's a choice. I can either sleep in or I can get fast food breakfast.
Yeah.
This is how my life works.
Yeah. Well, and right now, the only haunt work we've done is whenever I got up really early one day, just automatically. It's like, I guess it's not 90 yet. I'll go out there.
And, of course, the other problem with estate sales, though, is finding them in rural areas.
Yeah. Is
a motherfucker. Looking here,
yeah,
plenty.
Now, for rural areas, though, a lot of times they will have auction sites.
Yeah.
They will have, like,
the local auction house.
Exactly. People will bring their shit in from their house to auction off that would normally be at an estate sale.
Yeah, and your parents talked about going to the auctions.
I used to go to them, too.
Yeah, I know. And I went to one with your family, and it was an experience.
Yeah.
It was a thing. So some tips in this area. First, like I said, estate sales generally have great previews online. Look at the photographs, know what you're getting into. Look for the companies in your area that help organize them. Here, the big one is called The Occasional Wife.
Yeah.
And those places often have stores, which operate a lot like consignment shops.
Right.
But for estate sales. So anything that doesn't sell at the estate sale goes to the shop.
Yeah.
And can get sold there, and you can find some deals there. And those are open better hours, usually.
Yeah, I think they're open Monday through Saturday till 5. Which is much easier to hit than an early morning.
Yeah.
Or a random afternoon. There's also, we have a friend who is on RubyLane.com. Not everything on Ruby Lane is going to be cheap, but there are some good deals to find.
Yeah. All right, well, next category.
All right.
Craigslist/Facebook Marketplace.
Yes. It's great if you know exactly what you want.
You know that you need an end table for a corner in a room or a dining table to go in?
I have looked at so many lockers, so many bookshelves in the past year. And it's just... And then you get suggestions for things that are like that. You know, and I've searched for Gothic furniture so that'll come up in my searches too.
Yeah.
Because I love that sort of thing and the ornate stuff that I could just retouch and it'd be beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
so
if you know what you want, this is awesome.
Yeah, because you can set up alerts.
Mm-hmm.
So get notified of items that are in your category.
Yeah.
And
it's just super convenient. It really is what it is. Now, that said, there is a lot of time and haggling required to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And let's all be honest, every time that we've had to deal with buying something off one of these marketplaces, and I include eBay in this too to a lesser degree, it's an ordeal. You got to deal with the other person. You got to work it out. Got to work out how you're meeting and all that. So there's often a lot of interaction. And unfortunately, especially on Craigslist and Facebook marketplaces, there's a lot of scams.
Yeah, don't give out a code if it's into your phone.
Yeah, there are a lot of scams going on. Some of them are intentional. Some of them are unintentional scams.
Mm-hmm.
Like we bought bikes
Mm-hmm.
that were supposed to be pretty much ready to ride. They just needed new tires.
Yeah.
And we got them home and found out that they needed all new brakes. They needed
seats.
And it's not the people who sold us this fault. Because I'm pretty sure when they stuck those in the garage, those things were fine.
Yeah.
And they didn't know.
Yeah.
And so, I got that too. So, and you don't get as good a photo in listings as you do with estate sales. And that's because estate sales are usually organized by professionals, and this is usually organized by your idiot neighbor.
Right. But one thing that does happen with this is that sometimes you can ask them if they will deliver for you for an extra fee.
Yeah.
And you can work that out through chat.
Yeah. Now, the big tip here is Facebook Marketplace has the ability built in to set up alerts for terms that you want.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get actual push notifications when something appears on Facebook Marketplace in the radius around you, and set the parameters of the search, and that's great. And there are also services that will do that for you with Craigslist too.
Yeah.
But man, this is such a good thing in that you can set and forget.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to keep working on this ongoing. So it's almost like, why not set this up?
Right.
The worst that can happen is you get a bunch of alerts you ignore.
Yeah.
That's really it. All right. Next up, this has become a hobby of mine lately.
Uh-huh.
Even though I have not bought anything this way,
right.
It has definitely become a hobby of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And that is government auctions/sales.
Mm-hmm.
GovDeals.com is the main site for that. In fact, I think it may be the only one.
Yeah.
But basically, it is absolutely batshit insane what you can buy.
Yes.
You want a fucking fire truck? Boom! You can get a fucking fire truck.
Yeah. And like the giant medical equipment.
Oh, yeah. You want an iron lung? They probably got one on there.
I think they do. Airplanes. Why not?
Do you want the bed of a Ford F-350? Not a Ford F-350, just the actual bed. Uh-huh. They got that. They got that in Metairie, actually. They got that right up the road from us.
Yeah. And that's only $500.
Yeah. So, it is absolutely insane. But that said, the disadvantage is it doesn't really focus on the decorative, the decor. It's most about the functional. They have a lot of, for example, they have a lot of furnishings.
Right.
Like, do you want all of the seats in an auditorium?
Mm-hmm.
Found that on there.
Yeah.
You can get those weird foldy seats they have in auditoriums. You can get a whole auditorium's worth of them.
Yeah. You can also get a whole lot of file cabinets.
Oh, so many file cabinets.
Which are great for prop-based layout and making loud noises.
Yep. So, you're not going to get decorative things here. It's going to be very, very functional. And there is a heavy focus on equipment, especially large equipment.
Right.
But, man.
And that's because these are from government-owned buildings and businesses.
Yeah, agencies and institutions.
Agencies.
This is government surplus items, basically. The other issue is it's rarely close to you. Like, even here in New Orleans, if I want to get a reasonable number of suggestions, I have to make sure I extend the radius past Baton Rouge. Because state government operates out of Baton Rouge. There's a lot of state government surplus in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and
they cover state and federal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's rarely super close to you, and you have to transport. There is no option to have this crap shipped to you.
Right, and you have to pay up front.
Yep.
We're in the disadvantages now.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, and I think they only accept PayPal.
Yeah, it's weird. The payment is weird. I have not actually had to go through it, so I don't remember, but you're right. There is something weird with the payment, too.
So my work set up a sim lab last year, and I found 25 gently used, like barely used at all, hospital beds that we needed for the sim lab. And we couldn't get them because the university doesn't have PayPal. And they don't work to like set up the with a vendor.
Yeah, payment.
I couldn't set them up as a vendor. Like there was no one to contact to just say, "Hey, I need your W-9 and your stuff to get you in as vendor." So, so payment's weird, but get past all that, gravy.
Yeah. So once again, set up alerts for things you won't hear, and once again, since you can set up alerts and have it automated, why not do it? It just makes sense. But yeah, read everything carefully, including the payment requirements. Look at the images closely. And bear in mind that there's not scams here, but there are traps you could fall into. And I made the mention of the F350 bed because I was looking at whatever was in like a near radius to us. And there wasn't much, like I said.
Right. You have to go to Baton Rouge.
Got to go to Baton Rouge. But I was looking like actually here. And it was like, oh, a Ford F350 for $500? Holy shit. Let me sign up for that. Oh, no, wait a minute. It's literally just the bed of it. Like it was abandoned on the side of the road and now selling it on Gov Deals.
Yeah.
Which may actually be what happened.
Either that or, it was... I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Anyways.
Moving on.
Next item.
Thrift stores.
We're going to pop some tags.
Yeah, apparently. So I have come to realize in recent years that I do not like thrifting as much as I did when I was younger.
Fair enough.
And part of that is that the prices in thrift stores has gone up more than you would expect. Yeah.
Some thrift stores in particular.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. It's like I put it like near the bottom when it comes to price variance.
Yeah.
But the reality is, this is the unpredictable one. They can land anywhere on this spectrum.
Yeah, it really is.
It sort of exists outside of it and is its own spectrum. Because there are thrift stores near us. Some are like, oh, Jesus, I can't afford to be in the thrift store.
Right.
And other ones are like, I go in there with like the ice cream man change belt and I'm a king.
Yeah, you can buy everything.
I own the store now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like you said, some thrift stores have just gotten so insanely expensive. And some people did legitimately blame Macklemore for that. I don't think that's fair.
No. I don't either. I do think that people are more into a reuse culture now.
Yeah, I do think
than 20 years ago.
The reduce, reuse, recycle culture has sort
upcycle.
An upcycle has taken hold more. And especially, and we're in a period still. I mean, I guess that's one of the things, like retro or vintage always has its own place and cool in like modern culture.
Yeah, it always comes back around.
So there's always some element of retro or quote unquote vintage. And so that means thrift stores always have an opportunity to sell cool clothes.
Yeah.
For pennies on the dollar, because as the song says, you take your grandpa's outfit and make it some cool. So yeah. But the advantage of a thrift store is that it's a great place to make discoveries.
Yes.
If you want older things, it's absolutely wonderful. You will find, especially if you want like old electronics.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, old electronics can be very unsettling. Have you looked at some of the weird shit from the 80s and 90s? Those things don't look like electronics. They look like torture devices. They look horrifying.
They look like bricks.
Yeah. So, yeah. But the main reason to go to thrift stores, honestly, is clothes and costumes.
Clothes, costumes, bedding if you have a bed scene,
Yep.
and curtains.
Oh God, yes, curtains
I
are
love
great.
the curtains.
Yeah, curtains remain because like you go to a big box store, getting the curtains you want new is not that expensive, but you're walking away paying $12, $15 for a fairly small window curtain.
Yeah.
At a thrift shop, you're probably $1 or $2.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It wasn't like I bought 2 sets of hotel grade curtains.
Yeah.
For $10.
Yeah.
So that's with the fireproofing in it, and like it's rated for hotels.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool, and they're old.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And as an added bonus, you sometimes get to support charity that way.
Yeah.
The disadvantage is there's never a way of knowing what you're getting until you're there.
Yeah.
That's just simply the truth. And also, many do focus exclusively or almost exclusively on clothes. I know 2 thrift stores here that we go to semi-regularly. I would say 85 to 90% of the floor space is clothes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And that leaves like this tiny little corner for furnishings and weird stuff. But I say that, but one of those stores was where we found the 8 bajillion old-timey the crutches.
Crutches, yeah.
The old-timey walking cane thing. No, the crutches.
Yeah.
The old.
We got crutches. We got a walker. We got a wheelchair.
Yeah, we got a lot of old-timey medical stuff there. So.
Yeah.
So but some of these do dedicate like everything to clothes. So if you don't need clothes and costuming, there's probably not a lot there for you in a lot of these. And also, the other issue we've been hitting at is that the prices vary wildly. Some thrift stores are some thrift stores, I swear to shit, are more expensive than buying things new.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how the fuck they get by doing it. And then there's some, like I said, bring in a roll of quarters, walk out with a store.
Yeah. And a lot of it depends on the neighborhood that you go to.
So the first piece of advice is...
don't go to thrift stores in rich neighborhoods.
Yeah. Unless you know them from other evidence to be inexpensive. Obviously, that's not a blanket rule.
Right.
But if I'm new to town, I'm not going to the Goodwill in the super nice neighborhood for thrifting.
Yeah.
That's not the place I'm going to think of first for checking it out. And the other issue is favor local ones, not chains.
Yeah. Yeah, so you just mentioned Goodwill, but...
Well, yeah. But that's the only chain I can think of.
Yeah, because I don't know if the red, white, and blue one's, like, a big chain.
I don't know either.
But
no, Goodwill's the only chain I know. And I'm not necessarily dunking on them. It's just chains tend to have higher prices.
Yeah, and tend to have some complexities with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah, but don't haggle at a thrift store. It is a store. They have priced their stuff.
Yeah, treat it like a regular store.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah.
It's a regular store that just happens to be selling, quote unquote, secondhand, gently loved, gently used, whatever stuff. But yeah, I mean, and I'll say this, in our hunting for stuff for our haunt, thrifting has become less and less and less and less important over the years.
Yeah.
I would say it's gotten to a point where we rarely actually look at thrift stores for the haunt. If we're not specifically looking for costuming bits, like for dummies or whatever.
Yeah, I think, the medical stuff, it's a good place to go to get that. That's where we've bought most of.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And the final one, the big one, honestly, dumpster diving / curb watching. The classic way to find stuff for your haunt. However, I'm going to start this off with a little bit of controversy. Because I think that some people are not going to be happy about this. Because I know I know among our listeners, there are some very hardcore dumpster divers.
Yeah.
You know who you are. Mad respect. I'm just probably going to ruffle a few feathers by saying this. Retail dumpster diving is likely not worthwhile. First problem is most stores destroy the things they throw out. It used to be there was a tradition among the dumpster diving haunt brethren of hitting up the dumpster of every spirit Halloween on November 2nd.
Yeah.
Because Halloween, November 1st, they would have their 50% off sale, and then they didn't move in, they'd throw out.
Mm-hmm.
Or some of it they ship back for restocking, and some of it they throw out. And the idea was you go dumpster diving then. Well, in recent years, everyone's noted that spirits have gotten very good about destroying everything, smashing animatronics, dumping paint on clothes, tearing it up, cutting things up, and taking it beyond distressed and making it actually destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah, because, y'all made jokes about how they were just distressing it for you, and, well, they fixed that.
They listened. But even that outside of spirit.
Yeah, and the other thing is to remember that a lot of things can be destroyed due to a recall. I ran into this when I worked at Michael's because there were pieces that I didn't even know how to destroy, but I had to find a way because they just were unsafe.
Yeah. And the other thing is they're destroyed because customers return them and they're not resaleable for one reason. It could be something like a TV's brought back and the backlight's out.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be able to see that in a dumpster without it plugging it in, but it's not saleable. Now, granted, with a decent amount of electronic skill, that may be something that's fixable, but the store's not going to take that chance and is going to smash it. And I know several people who, as part of their retail gigs, were handed a pair of safety glasses, a sledgehammer, and told to go, Gallagher on all this stuff that they had to put in the dumpster.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, this pisses me off because, especially with the electronics, this creates a fuck ton of e-waste that doesn't have to be created.
Yeah.
And
and some of those batteries and things are dangerous if you smash them.
Oh, yeah. So, and it's probably not safe honestly, it feels a lot like that break room we went to.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's your apron, your gloves, and your goggles, and some hopefully safe shit to smash.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, the other issue with retail dumpster diving, though, is that trespassing becomes a much bigger thing. Because a lot of these dumpsters are located on private property, and they are often secured or locked.
Yeah. One thing that I will say is whenever you're driving by, don't forget to look at the flowers and fake flowers that people have thrown out and thrown away on the curb. This comes from Eddie of Chamber of Horrors. He always picked them up off the side of the road, and I've started doing that too. Something to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of that one. But the third thing about retail is that it's dangerous. Largely because of the smashing stuff.
Yeah.
Now there's broken glass and shit everywhere. I don't want to see anyone get hurt. And retail dumpster diving is just simply more risky than curb washing and, and residential dumpster diving, if you will.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to focus on the residential side because it's safer, easier, and, to be frank, more likely to give you unwanted but still good to use stuff. Because the thing about it is this. Stores will smash perfectly good things that they have to throw out. People do not.
Yeah. And one of the things to keep in mind, and this isn't in the tips, but I'm adding it.
Okay.
I know we're not down there yet.
No.
Is to remember those garage sales you went to?
Yeah.
Figure out when the trash cycle is for that specific area. So if you saw something there and you didn't think it was going to sell, go by afterwards.
Yeah.
On the trash day
That's
and see if it's out.
how we've obtained a frame.
I know. I've got an idea for it this year.
Oh, cool. So, yeah, we've obtained things that way, though not necessarily specifically looking for it, then just realizing as we were getting it, hey, wait a minute. I love you. You're being cheeky because you were looking specifically for it.
Oh, yeah, I was.
Okay. Well, the advantage of dumpster diving is simple. It's free.
Yeah.
And you will find a lot of great things. Now, you can't expect to find something specific.
Right.
But you can find a lot of great things this way and get a lot of good inspiration. And it's usually something you can do very close to home. If you live in a suburban or residential neighborhood, you're already there.
Exactly.
At least in part, right?
Yeah. I've gotten a couple of mirrors from the neighbors that threw them away across the street.
Well, and these days, we've taken so much of our neighbors' trash at various moments that sometimes they'll bring the trash to us and ask us if we want it first.
Yeah.
That's sweet, but it's like, no, we don't want all your trash. We just want the haunt stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the main disadvantage, though, is like I said, you never know what you're going to find. If you need a specific item, this ain't the way to get it.
Mm-mm.
This is a total crapshoot. You'll get some general stuff, but there's no way to guarantee you'll get what you need. And the other thing is, everyone talks about the great finds they have. Like, I love talking about the time I found a fuck ton of vinyl siding.
Yeah.
That we got to use in the haunt. That was so great. Yeah, talk about a lot. I didn't talk about all the runs I went on the neighborhood and didn't find anything.
Yeah.
Because I find, even when we go looking, we strike out far more than we hit.
I'd agree with that.
So, yeah. And there are, you do have to remember that it is trash.
Mm-hmm.
Items are likely to be broken or unusable, even if the person didn't deliberately smash.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
They didn't care by that point, and they were tired of it, so they just yeeted it onto the curb.
Seen people do exactly that, though.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, yesterday we hauled, well, not yesterday, this weekend, we hauled from the trash a nice table and chair set.
Yeah.
Which we just discovered 5 minutes ago, the chairs cannot support an adult person's weight.
But they may be able to support, like, a couple of metal folding chairs in there.
Yeah.
That are the same size.
So we may still find use for the table, partly, because it's a very cool table.
It is.
But yeah, so some tips on this.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on the wealthier neighborhoods for this.
Yeah.
Like, look, this is such a stereotype, but what the rich throw away is ridiculous.
It is. It really is.
And because it's like, every time I think we're doing well, and we're doing well, we meet a rich person, and I'm like, what do you mean you wear these $500 shirts once and just put them in the trash?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I make my $20 Walmart polos last forever.
Yeah, I worked with someone who would just put things into bags and forget what was in there, and it would be unworn things that cost thousands of dollars that she would just give away.
Yeah, and she would give them away to the maid.
Yeah.
Was probably getting paid more in the clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Than the actual paycheck as a result of that. And like, we had something similar happen to us, because way back when you first moved, when we were in South Carolina, we did room inspections, University of South Carolina, and we were told anything we found in the dorms was ours. Mm-hmm. And this led to some very interesting moments. Uh-huh. But it also meant that we made probably about $2,000, $3,000 worth of stuff in the various rooms.
Yeah.
Between electronic devices, camping gear.
Yeah.
I mean, we got
still
really got that tent.
The tent out in the garage.
Like I said, we kept getting nice stuff, just conveniently left behind and signed away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we should have kept that book.
No, we shouldn't have. I'm pretty sure there's a curse on it or something. Long story, tell you later. But yeah, learn the trash days. The next step is learn the trash days of neighboring areas. Yeah,
and you can go to your local sewage department. Here we call it sewage and water board.
Sanitation department.
Yeah.
Here it's all done through sewage and water board. It's confusing. New Orleans is weird.
Yeah.
Whatever department handles your trash pickup, go to their site.
Go to their website. They'll have the schedules for all the different neighborhoods.
Yeah, and check the night before the pickup.
Yep.
See what's out there. It also really, really helps to have a truck or a trailer. Mm-hmm. Like I said, trailers can be found fairly cheap, and a car can tow some stuff. Yeah. Obviously, a truck is better in just about every way, but I also understand that getting a vehicle just for dumpster diving may not be practical, especially if you're dumpster diving.
Yeah.
And also bring a friend.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, you're going to see something you want. And if you can't immediately pounce on it and get it, then the next time you come back for it with your friend, it's probably going to be gone.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that I was not going to get to the table that I rolled back from, 6 doors down or whatever, because there was a truck pulling up on the other side of the road next to it. I'm pretty sure that that's what they were looking for.
Well, tough shit to them. Well, we also had that happen with those metal canisters we got for the haunt.
Yeah.
Someone, probably a scrapper in that case, because they were very heavy metal. But yeah, we picked those up from the side of the road, just found them.
Yeah.
And they were great props, and will be again probably.
Yeah.
They fit in with our theme this year.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, so yeah, bring a friend so that way you can tackle whatever you find immediately. And you don't have to go back and get someone. Because if you have to go back and get someone, it's probably gone.
Yep.
Well, I think that's about all for this week. All in all, here's to you, you cheap bastards.
Yeah.
May we all haunt in peace. I think that's about all there is to say on that. So please, though, do take a minute. If you have not done so, follow us at all the places we exist. HauntWeekly.com, HauntWeekly on Twitter, HauntWeekly on Facebook, and YouTube.com/HauntWeekly. You can also find us wherever podcasts are distributed. We pay someone else to take care of that. So if we're not where you get your podcast from, you tell me and I'll go yell at them. I'll go scald them for you because they said they were going to get us everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Whole point of it. So until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this has been Haunt Weekly episode 398, talking about where to get some cheap stuff. We'll be back next week, probably to talk about whatever plans we're doing for episode 400, because we really haven't put much thought into that. And we'll see you all then.